Um, the big mistake that comes to mind was my first semester of college. And before I talk about that, I'll sort of set the stage for why that hit me so hard. So education was a big deal in my family. My dad was one of 11 siblings, and they all grew up living on a farm in West Texas, and they picked cotton in their childhood. That's what they did. Eventually, my eldest uncle went to college, and he was really the first to open his younger siblings' eyes to all that was out there. He actually went on to be a doctor. It was a big deal in my family that he went on to be a doctor. That history was a big part of what drove me as a young person to do well in school. My dad and my mom were both educators, so education was always a big deal to me. All that said, I was actually still somewhat limited in my perspective about where I thought I could actually go. In fact, my family moved from Oklahoma to Texas when I started high school, just because they wanted to put me in a position where I could go to UT Austin and pay in-state tuition. That was our big college strategy. But once I moved to Texas, I started to realize that there were a lot of other options that were out there, in part due to a counselor that was really meaningful to me and helped to sort of open my eyes. Eventually, by the time I was a senior, I was applying to places I would have never dreamed of before, including Princeton. And I got into Princeton, and so by the fall of 2001, I was headed off to New Jersey from my small town in Texas. It was a big deal. It was scary. I felt overwhelmed almost from the very beginning, and and sort of rightly so. It was a big change. But I thought I would sort of take the familiar step of taking Econ 101, because my father was actually an economics professor, and I thought that there was a good shot that based on my basic familiarity of everything I grew up hearing him talk about, that would sort of set the stage for making for a successful first semester. The problem was, once I got into the fall semester, and I started to realize how much freedom a college student has, how much autonomy they have to decide to go to class or not, or to read the chapter or not, I started taking some liberties on that front. And before long, midway through the semester, I really started to understand that this was not working out as I had planned. My midterm did not go well, and I felt like that I needed to do something different. The problem was, I didn't react to that realization in a constructive way either. And in fact, I fell into the same trap that a lot of students fall into, of avoidance. I mean, if something's not going well, the logical inclination is to insert yourself and do something different and turn it around. I actually made even worse decisions. I really stopped going to class almost completely, and because I just didn't like the way I felt in the class. And so, finals come around, and now I'm really stressing. I'm really sort of, I'm feeling guilty about everything. I'm scared about the potential consequences of not doing well in this course. And so I go to the final, and it's in this beautiful building, beautiful lecture hall called McCosh 50. I actually looked up some of the history of McCosh 50 because I wanted to remind myself of the experience. McCosh 50 is a big Gothic lecture hall. It seats 450 students. It was on the tour. It's a big sort of tour spot for the Princeton tour, and I remember as a prospective student seeing this lecture hall and thinking to myself, my gosh, I would, how wonderful it would be to be a student in this, in a place like this. So, here I am now sitting down about to take this final, and I look through the material and I realize really fast that it's just not, that this is not going to work out. I'm about to bomb this exam. And, I'm sitting there looking around. This is the place that, Einstein gave his famous lectures on the theory of relativity, and I'm just feeling terrible about myself. This is one of the lowest moments of my life, to be honest with you, because everything that I was experiencing in that moment was completely avoidable. And it was the beginning of what was supposed to be this brilliant experience for me, and I was kind of ruining it. All that to say, the exam did not go well. My class grade did not go well. And I was deeply disappointed. My father, as an economics professor and as a father, and as my father, was disappointed too. And it's never fun to disappoint your parents. And so it really served as a wake-up call to me that it's not just it's not good enough just to be in the environment. You actually clearly have to do the work. And I think for some reason that had not clicked until I was sort of in that deep, dark, low point in that beautiful lecture hall taking that Econ 101 exam. But it did serve as a wake-up call, and I started to do much better. I don't think I was ever a wonderful student, but certainly the issues that plagued me in that first semester in that course didn't follow me beyond that semester, which was a really valuable learning experience. And I think the thing about mistakes like that is that we all make mistakes. When you asked me to think of a mistake, to be honest with you, there were so many mistakes that I could talk about. I had to sort of come up with one that I felt comfortable disclosing to you and to the world. There are many more, I assure you, but they all become a part of you. And I think if you treat them in the right way, they can truly, and this sounds trite, but I think they can truly be as profound an experience as a great victory, and sometimes even more deeply profound than our moments of success, just because it's really at that point up to you to make the most of that situation, and it oftentimes sends you on a trajectory that you would never have imagined. And I can actually point to many of the mistakes in my own life and very clearly see how it was the mistake that ultimately sent me on this path or this trajectory that I now very deeply value. I think I'm here in large, in as much a part as a result of my successes in life as my failures. Doing this job that I absolutely love, in this college that I absolutely love, and it's a real privilege. And it's, again, I think it's in part because of the mistakes I've made, and frankly, and this is something I'm proud of about myself, my willingness to sort of look at that mistake, examine it, and use it to lead a better life, in a sense. I think that's one of the things I love about the work that I do, and this is certainly not to diminish all the great work that goes on in the classrooms across campus, but I feel like, this is true in my own experience, that when a student comes in here having made a mistake that they're now having to confront with my help, that's a memorable experience, and I think it's a lot of times it's an experience that people don't forget in life, and I feel like it's a privilege that I get to be a part of what is a tough moment for a lot of students, and I like that. I really do. It's a point of great pride for me to be able to encounter students who may be going through a tough time, and then be witness to their journey up from that from those tough moments.